Okay, hello. I'm doing this unscripted, but this is the inner marathon pull for boosting in what I think is the fastest way you can do it. What you could consider is skipping this very inner bit and start pulling from. I'm gonna tell you later on in the video, but there might be uh, time reasons that you would want to skip this bit because I think from the other spot it takes you an additional 1.5 minutes by running all the way over here, and you're kind of being on the same XP per hour. But yeah, so it's just the usual. You want to pull that patrol, these border packs. I pulled them from downstairs, so I'm just waiting for them not to lag behind too much. I'm gonna skip through some and or most of this because the how you do this early bit is like all you need to do is be greedy with your blink. You want to get your 5 second rule to start ticking to have mana sustain, or you would have to be spec in arcane for the 3 points in mana regen. But I'm doing a quasi raid spec as Deep Frost with the Winter's Chill, and also Clear Casting and Magic Absorption. But yeah, you just go through here. You can get a feel for when you should use Fire Blast and when you can use rank 1 Arcane Explosion, stuff like that. You can also use Frost Nova at your disposal, rank 1 Cone of Colds. Um, but yeah, what you want to keep in mind are these Dimetrodons. They can silence you. That's about it. I'm gonna start skipping ahead. And oh, here I'm just gonna quickly mention it's a technique that's being used throughout the run, where I'm trying to do for the most part. Where I'm gonna look here. The pack is really close to me, but I'm gonna blink. Hopefully, I didn't do this time. But yeah, I sort of ran. It's gonna come up later. Um, Skipping ahead a little. So what you could consider is starting the pull from here. That way, as you can see, I've already been running for 2 minutes in combat, and then jumping from here down to where the start pull starts is about a minute, I think, in that ballpark. And you could rewatch and see how many trash packs or how many more mobs you get doing this way, but it might just end up being a zero sum game, but it makes for a bigger pull. So ideally, I think you would want to do your first blizzard here, just to regather, try to get them into a more concise group. That way, you might be able to have the option to kite the trail behind you uh, and avoid hydras in the upcoming room, because the hydras are not the most fun to deal with, as gonna be showcased later on. And then you got the regular pulls here. You cannot pull the pack down below the bridge, or I don't think it's worth it, because it's gonna be lagging behind, and the added risk in trying to go for it is not worth it. And the other two border packs on the sides, I don't go for either. I think it's too much risk. So you just keep on running here. You don't have to do this blizzard. I kind of did it because I saw that the rest was lagging behind a lot. Um, Here's another place where if you're kind of ahead of the group, you can go out, have the trail behind you, and then move in. I'm gonna showcase it later, as I said before. So here's one of the places where I differ. At least I haven't seen any other mage do this. you essentially want to have if you see that you have a very big spread, you run up to this corner right here, and as long as you're on the ground, they don't start to do the evade thing. And since, let's see, I'm gonna look back. You can see how they're all the mobs that were close to me here now have to run back and then start going across here. That lets all these guys who were back here to catch up to those in front. As you can see here. But they're gonna split up a lot because they have some you can see here they do some weird pathing back and forth. So they're still gonna be on a what you call it? Like a big string, long string. If you're low on mana, you can do you still want to Frost Nova that pack, I think. And if you ever find yourself being chased down by Hydras, I would advise stop, cast a rank 1 Frostbolt, and blink. Don't start running because of leeway, and the Hydra's hitboxes are massive. And they have a triple hit, a Thrash, Wind Fury thing going on, so they can easily one-shot you if you're not at max HP, but even then, still really spooky. So you just keep on going here. And here is something I've learned is, look at my mana. I have 15%, barely 800. I have mana potion on cooldown. So what I've done here is my adaptation is to rank 1 Fire Blast that guy early to get him and or more imps to start casting. And you just do a rank 1 Con of Cold on the Satyr, and you're probably most likely in the clear. And as you can tell, I resisted 3 out of 4 or 5, so I'm really fine on mana here all of a sudden. At least good enough for another blink, which is all we're gonna be doing up ahead here. I prefer Frost Novaing that guy, because it can be awkward if you do Fire Blast, and you can save Fire Blast for that guy. You can counterspell that guy, which I think I do. I wanted instead. Here you have a couple of options. If you're really fine on mana, you can go for a Bandage. If you're low on mana, you can go for an Evocate. You could even go for an Evocate and a couple of Bandage ticks, which I opted not to do. I like putting the Blizzard on the stairs there, just to get a nicer stack of everything. Yeah. That's about it. And you can pull the trees from down there, at least the closest one with the rank 1 Frostbolt before you head off. I'm not exactly sure here on the timing. I hesitate here and I don't risk it by going for the Satyr further in. But looking back here, I probably could have by a good margin. I'm still kind of new to this inner pull at this stage. But this is what I've found to be the most consistent. So I think you could even spare, like if you, at the steps, if you had a really nice stack, you could even opt to skip this Blizzard. But I would say do it still. I do anyways, because it's sort of a habit. And when you go here, you pull, you could, yeah, I did pull the first one as well. So you pull all 4 of those, you Frost Nova this pack, just to have them more separated. Ideally and usually it kind of fucks up where, yeah, they are really close and then you have the big hulking horde all the way back. It can be not really problematic, but it sort of makes this bit right here a bit more annoying. But just do your best in trying to slow the front runners. And you just essentially want to aggro as much as possible. I did not pull the pack that all of the mobs are running by just now, but you could and or should. Because sometimes, if depending on where the satyr is spawned, it doesn't follow. but I think this time it did. This blizzard is also kind of optional. I'm not frankly entirely sure why I do it. I think you could just abandon it completely. Like it should not make a difference. Because we have now, at this stage, pulled every mob on the left side. You don't have to go back there. So this is what enables the whole thing about the skip that's about to come up. Because most people, even when they do the smaller pull without going to inner Mara, and I did a very nice thing of bandaging on the last tick there. But yeah, you can apply this strategy when you do the smaller pull as well. So you just blizzard to make them into one big stack already here. And this is very important. Like you want to do a blizzard, blink, another blizzard, and get them as stacked as possible. Because here you're gonna pull this pack late, and make sure to run close to the right hand side of the wall. Do not blink early. Hold your blink for as long as possible. Obviously don't get fucked. So here, I was a bit early on the blink, I think. I'm just gonna go back and sort of explain, because I think I'm gonna look back and show it. So I'm a bit scared of the rock elemental on my left because I know they stun. And I'm not sure why I'm this afraid, but you want to go close to the wall here, because now we're gonna blink sort of to the left and look back. Come on, do it. Do the look back. Okay, so here we blinked from all the way over here towards this way. That means that the front runners on this side, they are merging with the ones that were sort of in the middle of the pack. And the guys that were further back are just running straight. So all of them are running into a funnel. And as you're gonna see when I do the jump down here, this is kind of risky. You can opt to run, not do the... Oh, that was... Okay. Thanks, Twitch. You can opt to run on the right-hand side of this pillar. But I've noticed, like, when the mobs cross this little ledge, that's when you can sometimes see them running back and forth, and I'm not sure what to call it, but it's sort of like some protection in the pathing or whatever that makes it so if you have, like if when you're kiting in Zul'Farrak and you're on your mount, you can make it so that all mobs are essentially on the same pixel. But then if you were to kite them over a gap such as this, they would start to spaz out because it's like, we need to find a path, and they just go one by one, but with a very, very small gap in between. So ideally you don't want the mobs to cross here, which is why I jump on this side. It's a bit on the risky end, and essentially what you also want to do is have your jump to go toward where you want to be. So if you just sort of like backpedal off the ledge here, you're not gonna be in good timing with your blink. You can do also, as I do here, run with a nifty stopwatch if you feel that you didn't stack the back runners as well, because the back runners are now your front runners, and you just want to get back up here early. If you have front runners that are close, it's still wise to blink the gap. And from here on out, you just pretty much do the normal thing, as you always do, in these pulls. And you can see here, it's a massive stack. What I'm a bit still unsure about is my positioning here. Because sometimes you can stand sort of closer toward here, and you have the mobs running up here. They turn around here, and then they go up. The way I'm positioned currently, they run straight up, instantly. Ideally, you would want to have them run back and forth, because that makes the stack even prettier. But I think the danger in doing that is that you're truly, truly playing with fire by being hit by the Hydras from down below. So I've opted to just stand here. I'm sort of working on a visual cue on exactly where to stand, but that's pretty much it. And then you just Frost Nova, Blizzard. And a way you can try to manipulate these imps, I don't have it in this clip, but what you can do is if you start moving further toward this side, that's gonna put you out of range of them because they are now pretty much casting at their max range. So if you move back here, you don't have to go line of sight, but you just outrange them. That way, you can make it so that the imps that just started casting and those that have just finished casting, they split up. So you have the ones that are finished casting. Essentially, you don't want, what's this, 20 imps to be chain casting at you. It's going to break your shield. So you should opt for 4, 5. I think even 1 is pretty much enough, unless you do it often. And here I kind of panicked, low-key, or I just came from having done 4 of the smaller poles where I usually stand on this side of the pole. And as you can tell, both of the hydras are still walking toward me. And as soon as I cross over to this side, they turn around. Now the front runner hydra is not slowed, but I think I manage. So you want to jump out on the further one. You should definitely practice on where to jump and what to aim for. And do not panic. When you have them spread and you have a blizzard, you would want to have them rather close to you, and so that you can catch the front runners up here. And yeah, I think this is the most difficult bit. Learning to either trust yourself in either the jump or in or in how your blizzard is. And you have to get a really good feel. As you saw there, I ran forward, I flipped my movement, and then I went for the jump. I would recommend practicing this. Like, you could pull 1 or 2 mobs from in here, just enter purple side, and just practice on having just 1 mob run around, and just do it with the rank 1 blizzards for as long as you feel that you need to be comfortable. A visual cue I have when jumping up onto the ledge. Shaman healed and got aggro from the splitting stone boys. So if you look at this very white bone pile, you have sort of this claw. If you look on that and you don't jump too early, depending on where you stand on the pole, you have to be at or closer than the middle on the pole before you do the jump up. And then, you do the usual. And from my timings, excluding looting, actually, hang on, I'm gonna pull it up. From when you enter Moradon through the scepter until you start doing the pull, as I showed with the fireball on the patrol, that takes you 2.5 minutes. Then, from having entered combat until you start doing the killing here, is about 11 minutes. The kill, if you don't have to do any soft resets or anything like that, should take you about 2 minutes. And then from having finished the kill and until you're back at the scepter entrance, this is excluding trading, it's excluding looting. This run takes you 17 minutes if everything goes according to plan. And I think by not running back to the Satyr boss, it saves you about... I haven't timed it exactly, but I think it's close to 2-3 minutes. It's quite significant. And especially if you have to reset the mobs, you essentially repeat what I did back here. Let's see if I can find it decently nice. Let's say you miss the jump. Oh shit, holy crap, holy macaroni. You start doing the blizzard. Hopefully you haven't killed off imps. You would want to use rank 1s for this reason. And you just do this. If they're half HP or to the point where they're very slow, definitely keep on doing blizzards. And also, again, stay far out here. Pretty much hug the wall. If the mobs come too close to you where you feel uncomfortable, blink toward where I'm running right now. But definitely try to abuse the funneling as I explained earlier, where you sort of blink so that the front runners have a longer path, sorry, and the back runners have a shorter path, if that makes sense. And at this point, still imagining that where we missed the jump, you run back here, you run up here, you do the blink. And I think as long as you have imps alive, you can be really generous with your mana barrier usage. In case you have some mobs that do end up running up to you. And oh yeah, if I didn't mention, you want to swap to mage armor around when you do the jump, as I explained earlier with running around the pillar. Obviously, nature protection potions makes this a lot easier, because your barrier can then absorb melee swings. As you see here, I have no absorb and my blizzard got interrupted early. But it's recoverable as long as you don't have too big of a tail. And the mobs that are close to you, never slow them. Never Frost Nova, never Cone of Cold, never anything. Because that's gonna fuck you up. If anything, you want to... I think the ideal spot to bounce mobs is right there, where I placed that blizzard. It's, in my opinion, the best spot. Because, as I mentioned before, you could outrange the imps here. If only for just a second. I don't have a clip of it, but you can, like, as your blizzard is ticked and just refreshed, you can take a couple of steps back, and you can see some imps run up here. And at that point, it's easy to manipulate these imps to run all the way. I think you can work it out, but I think the biggest thing is the not running back to the satyr. And I've already babbled on for about 20 minutes here, so I think that concludes it. If you have any questions, feel free to comment on the video, and I will try my best to reply, but I'm not that good at it. But yeah, good luck and have fun. And definitely this pull, it is a steep learning curve, I think. But as soon as you nail the jump, you're gonna have a lot of fun. Also nets you a decent amount of elemental earth. About 2 per reset is my average. Yeah, I think that's it. Bye.